slowly. This book is dangerous. Fox socks, box knocks, knocks in box, fox in socks, knocks on fox in socks.
I'm sure you must have some questions. I think there's something you should know. I am a sock. And that's okay. A perfectly natural thing. But certainly, it isn't an invisible fact. I'm a sock everywhere I go. It's hard to miss. Perhaps some of you have sock tendencies or fancy some socks or have dabbled in the world but found it isn't for you. I can respect that. But when you're a sock like me, a full-time sock, if you will, you wear your heart on your ankle. My name is Professor Trotter, and I will be your lecturer this evening. You all booked the tickets to be here, but for those of you unaware, I will be exploring the political potential of socks in everyday life. You all seem surprised, but don't worry, I'll guide you through it. It's easy to start at the beginning. So let's head to Egypt in the time frame of 100 to 350 CE, and you'll notice in your programs the image of those first ever socks that were preserved on the banks of the River Nile, made using a technique called knot binding, in which yarn was looped around a needle to create a cloth. Jump a little forward to 400 CE in Europe, and it becomes clear that socks were considered a luxury. Socks communicated status, as only very important people would be able to keep their feet clean and covered, as can be seen by the puttees in this time, worn by holy devotees to demonstrate their purity. Puttees were long strips of cloth that would wrap around the foot and leg up to the knee. Consider your own relationship with socks, if you even have one. Do you spend much time matching the hosiery to your hosen? Perhaps you prefer the aesthetic or feeling of sheer tights. Where do you buy your socks and or tights from? And what do you do when a hole appears? Are you a darner, denier, or dazzled by denier? All of these questions serve to introduce you to just some of the ways through which our most basic element of clothing can paint a picture of who we are. Take a look at the flapper movement in the 1920s. Women's bodies were policed to an even greater extent than they are now. Modesty and dignity were found in covered bodies. But when flappers started to roll their socks down, it was seen as scandalous, outrageous, dangerous even. The Blue Stockings Educational Society for Women in the mid-18th century was so called because one of their invited speakers, Benjamin Stillingfleet, publisher and translator, was too poor to dress appropriately, and this encouraged the society to favour an informal learning setting with relaxed dress codes. It is a common cultural phenomenon that queer people today will roll up their trouser hems and show off their socks, a remnant from radical lesbians in the 50s wearing clothes that could have landed them in jail. The pride we have in the clothes we wear is rooted in the simple choices we make. If you don't understand, you've never had to worry about it. If you don't care what socks you wear, you've never had to worry about how you present to the world. I am a sock, and clothes are my greatest armor. What is this stupid fucking sock doing telling me about the choices I make with my clothes, I hear you say. But when I look in the mirror after forcing myself to wearily dress myself day after day in ill-fitting clothes and overworn tattered shoes because they don't make men's shoes in my size, I feel a tiny shiver of pride. I am dressed how I feel. I don't look how I feel, but what does it matter? When I take pride in how I look, I can take your sneers, I can take your jeers, and the looks still terrify me, but at least I can trust that my image isn't the problem, it's you. I am a sock, and what's it to you? You can ignore me as much as you like, but your feet produce 200 milliliters of sweat a day, and something has to soak up all that liquid, and I can tell you now it won't be your shoes. The grotty, grimy work of this world, the grunt work, the work of slowly banging our heads against the wall and trying again tomorrow to get you to see us as fucking human beings. That's our job, and it shouldn't have to be. We're worn down to our heels. Our insides poke through threadbare holes in toes, and there's no one left to stitch us up again. So when you get dressed tomorrow, do me a small favour. Think about how you would present to the world, and why it would ever matter. And the next time you get a hole in your sock, take care. Grab a needle and thread, and please, sew me back up.